3 bone-chilling midnight stories that will haunt you forever. You'll never sleep again. The clock struck midnight, its echo bouncing off the walls of the old, creaking house. Inside, 3 friends huddled together in the flickering light of a single candle. They were about to crack open a world of darkness. Tales of terror waited to unravel, shrouded in the signature chill of the witching hour. Shadows danced in the corners, stretching and twisting, as if ready to pounce. Laughter bubbled nervously, a thin line between fear and thrill echoed in the space. But something was about to change. First came the tale of the Whispering Man. Local legend claimed he wandered the woods, luring lost souls with silky words and empty promises. They described him as a shadow with hollow eyes, draped in tattered clothing, always just out of reach. A girl who ventured too deep was said to have heard him calling her name over and over, each time growing softer until the silence swallowed her whole. The testimonials always ended with a nervous glance to the doorway, the night feeling just a bit too close. Next unfolded the curse of the old Hollister house, where splintered wood moaned underfoot. The neighbor's eyes went wide, recounting rumors of a lost child running through the halls, desperately searching for a mother who would never return. People said they could see the flicker of a small, innocent light in the second-floor window at midnight, the same room where the child vanished. Each retelling sent shivers down their spines, the air thickening with eerie anticipation, making every heartbeat echo loudly. Then came the final, horrifying story, the midnight caller. It was said that if you picked up the phone at exactly 12 o'clock, you'd hear your own voice on the other end, a chilling echo, warning you of a fate yet to unfold. Many had gone mad, unable to escape the looping sound of their own dread. The friends sat quieter now, the light dimming as they thought about the implications. What if someone called them? What would they say? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the candle sputtered and shadows lengthened, a knocking sound echoed from the back door, sending the friends' hearts racing. They exchanged glances, wide-eyed with fear. No one should be out there, not tonight. What if one of those stories was true? The knocking became louder, more insistent, cutting through the tense air. And just when the silence was almost unbearable, the door creaked open slowly. A figure stood silhouetted against the moonlight, and then everything went dark. Their breaths caught in their throats, heavy with dread as darkness swallowed the room. An intense silence followed, thick as fog, wrapping around them. Every heartbeat felt amplified, echoing in a terrifying rhythm. Sam, the bravest of the group, finally managed to whisper, "Who's there?" There was no response, only the strained creaking of the door hanging ajar. And then, just as suddenly, the candle flickered back to life, casting an erratic glow across the room. A shrouded figure emerged, cloaked in shadows, face obscured by a dark hood. A chill ran down their spines like icy fingers grazing their skin. Just a prank? Jenna murmured, her voice shaking as she squinted, trying to discern the figure in the flickering candlelight. But the figure didn't move, standing perfectly still as if it were a statue. Moments passed like a stretched rubber band, ready to snap. The air was heavy, dense, trapping them in a suffocating web of fear. Finally, the figure spoke, its voice hollow and raspy, sending a chill racing down their spines. "Do you want to hear a story?" The friends exchanged terrified glances, their minds racing through the tales they had just recounted. "What do you want?" Jake stammered, his bravado crumbling. The figure leaned forward, a floating whisper just above a breath. "Every story holds a truth, and I am that truth." In an instant, the candle sputtered violently, smoke curling around them, and the mysterious figure stepped into the dim light. It was an old woman, her wrinkled skin pallid under the candle's glow, eyes glinting with an unfathomable depth. The friends recoiled instinctively. "Don't be scared. I'm just a storyteller," she said, her voice somehow soothing yet marked with an unsettling undertone. "But tonight, it seems the stories have turned on you. Care to join in?" Jenna's heart raced. "Join in? What do you mean?" The old woman smiled, revealing yellowing teeth. "You have invited the darkness with your tales. While you were safe under this roof, the fear transferred into the night, and it seeks a touch of truth. A confession, perhaps?" Sam felt a shiver creep up his spine. What kind of confession? With her gaze piercing through to their very souls, she rasped, "One of your own hidden fears. Each of you will be tested." As the shadows shifted and twisted around them, Sam instinctively took a step back, bumping against a small table, sending a pile of books crashing to the ground. The loud noise echoed, amplifying their growing tension. "You think it's a game?" The woman's tone darkened, as the shadows behind her seemed to pulse with energy. "There are fates worse than death. Will you play?" A sudden ringing cut through the atmosphere, the unmistakable sound of a phone echoing through the house. The friends spun around, eyes wide. "Is that?" Jake started, but the candle dimmed again, casting a thicker layer of blackness as if the world beyond had been snuffed out. "Answer it if you dare," the old woman urged, her voice dripping with malice. The ringing continued, relentless, each tone a hammer on their nerves. It was as if the phone itself called them, whispering secrets of dread and dark possibilities. Each friend hesitated, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down, the air thickening with promise and threat. "What lies on the other end?" Jenna whispered, her brow furrowed with fear and curiosity. Sam glanced back at the trembling group and seized the moment. "I'll do it," he declared, steeling himself against the quivering dread, but just as he reached for the phone, a sinister sibilance invaded the air, drawing their attention. "Only the brave will uncover what it holds." As he grasped the phone, hands shaking, they all felt it, the unmistakable pull of fate. Everything hinged on this moment. And then, as fingers touched the receiver, the shadows shifted once more, revealing the dawning horror that would shatter their world into pieces. But what would they find on the other end? It was time to discover whether the true terror was the caller or their deepest fears. As Sam's fingers brushed the cool surface of the phone, the air grew heavier, thick like molasses, pressing against their chests. The unsettling stillness closed in around them. The old woman's grin widened, each crevice of her face reflecting an eager anticipation that made their skin crawl. "Simply lift the receiver, dear," she hissed, a glimmer of something wicked dancing in her eyes. "It begs to be heard." Sam swallowed hard, the lump in his throat refusing to budge. Jenna, Jake, and the others watched, frozen between curiosity and terror. He hesitated for a heartbeat longer, glancing back at his friends, their faces echoing his unease. Was it a dream, or were they truly on the brink of something unfathomable? He clenched his fist, steeling himself. With a deep breath, he picked up the receiver. As soon as it touched his ear, a jarring voice cut through the static, sharp and penetrating as a knife. "Do you hear me, Sam?" He flinched. It was a voice he recognized, one from an old memory he thought long buried. "Is this?" he whispered, dread pooling in his stomach. "Who are you? Don't play coy. You know who this is. Remember me?" The shadows spun tighter around them, twisting like the fingers of a dark hand, closing in. The old woman's glee was palpable, her eyes sparkling mischievously in the thin light. Behind Sam, Jenna gasped, her face turning pale. "What's happening?" Jake asked, panic beginning to scream in his voice. The voice on the phone laughed, deep and throaty, echoing from a place that felt impossibly dark. "Your story, Sam, you're the author. Are you ready to face it?" "What do you mean?" He choked out, his hands shaking uncontrollably, the receiver heavy like a weight from a distant nightmare. Suddenly, the candle flickered, and in that brief moment of light, visions flooded Sam's mind: the face of a friend lost, taunting laughter, moments of weakness. A truth buried beneath regret. "I didn't mean for it to happen," he blurted, his voice trembling. "Didn't mean to?" The voice echoed, mocking. "Tell me, how does it feel to carry that guilt?" The walls seemed to close in, memories dueling with the oppressive fear creeping from the corners of the room. Sam felt the weight of his secret clawing at him, suffocating him with shame. The old woman stepped closer, her breath cold against his ear. "Confess it to the darkness, dear boy. A burden shared is a burden halved. Isn't that correct?" An unsettling realization hit him. The phone call was not just a direct line to a haunting past, it was an invitation to unearth the truth he had fought so hard to contain. The group's eyes shifted from Sam to the woman and back again, each understanding dawning with horror. "Don't do it!" Jenna finally shouted, her voice stronger than she felt. "You can't," but it was too late. Sam's voice cracked, rising with emotion. I lost him. I could have saved him." As he uttered the words, the air surged, energy crackling ominously. The shadows roared alive, stretching and swirling grotesquely around them. The old woman cackled, reveling in his confession, her long, bony fingers reaching as if to grasp the very essence of his fear. "Freedom from the shadows comes at a cost. What will it be?" she taunted. The walls shuddered, the house itself groaning as anger danced through the air. Dread pooled heavily in their hearts, threatening to overwhelm them. A sickening truth pulled at Sam. Had he crossed a line? Was there no going back? The candle flickered violently, the room plunged into darkness, pregnant with possibilities. Suddenly, the ringing stopped, silence crashing like thunder around them. "What have I done?" Sam whispered, staring into the abyss beyond. In that moment of deafening quiet, a chilling realization dawned: a choice had been made, but not by him alone. They were all entwined in this web of shadows, and now a perilous path lay ahead. What would emerge from the darkness? What awaited them as dawn broke? Would they be ready to face the consequences of their unleashed fears? The silence was oppressive, thick as the fog that swirled outside, clinging to the glass like a phantom. Sam's heart thudded in his chest, a frantic drum echoing in the stillness. He could feel the shift in energy, the very air vibrating with anticipation, as if the walls themselves were listening, waiting for what came next. Jenna's hand shot out, gripping Sam's forearm. "We need to leave. Now." Her voice trembled, barely above a whisper, but it was laced with a desperation that sent a shiver through Sam. Did she feel it too? The wrongness, the impending dread? Behind them, Jake shuffled nervously, glancing toward the old woman, who now loomed with a glee that seemed almost predatory. "We can't just run. What if we're in danger because of what he said?" He stammered, eyes darting around the room as if searching for a way out. "Danger?" The woman crooned, raising a crooked finger, beckoning them closer. Her voice seeped into the air like poison, smooth yet filled with an unsettling sweetness. "Oh, dear ones, danger lurks wherever you tread now. The darkness craves more than mere confessions. It thrives on your fears, your guilt." The shadows wove tighter, curling like smoke about their ankles, urging them to stay put, to confront the very terrors that haunted Sam's memories. A cackling laugh resonated from the receiver still cradled in Sam's shaking hands. "He couldn't just put it down, not yet. But we need to understand why." Sam murmured, dazed. A notion was creeping in, insidious and seductive. Could they really confront this darkness? With each heartbeat, the weight of his past was both suffocating and liberating, nudging him to tear down the walls he had so carefully built. "Sam." Jenna's voice broke through his thoughts. "Don't go any further. Please." "You're right, Jenna." Jake roared. "This is insane. We're not equipped for whatever this is." But the moment the words left his mouth, the old woman's eyes sparkled with delight. "Equipped?" she mocked. You already are. Your own truths are your weapons. Use them. Who's next? She turned her gaze to the rest of the group. Who else has secrets they've buried deep? Jake recoiled, trying to back away further into the corner. We can't let this take hold of us. We refuse. Silence followed his declaration, thick and resonant. The old woman simply laughed, head thrown back, the sound echoing off the grimy walls. Then, before anyone could breathe a sigh of relief, the shadows surged like a tidal wave, crashing over the group, thick and pulsating. They were no longer just in the room, they were enveloped in a darkness that clawed at their minds, at their very souls. What is happening? Sam gasped, instinctively drawing everyone closer. We didn't mean to silence. Your intent matters little in the face of truth. Embrace it. She was shouting now, and the walls trembled as if the house itself was alive, holding its breath. Suddenly, images flashed before Sam's eyes, a blur of horrors, moments of betrayal, sorrow, and the laughter of friends long lost. Each was wrapped in strands of darkness, showcasing how tightly intertwined their lives had become. The weight of their collective secrets bore down on him, suffocating. Finally, a voice pierced through the chaos, seemingly coming from everywhere and nowhere, a whispering mantra. Face what you've concealed, embrace what you've denied. Fuel surged through Sam. No. I want to be ruled by my fears. The assertion blasted from the depths of his soul, raw and fierce, and just like that, an ear-splitting crack split through the air, blinding light shooting from the phone. The shadows faltered, retreating as if stung, revealing glimmers of the old woman's gnarled face twisted in anger and disbelief. What have you done? She hissed, the darkness writhing around her like a wounded beast. I've taken back my power. Sam cried, his voice a defiant roar. But even as the words left his mouth, he felt the tide shift, the air crackling. They had woken something deep and terrible within the house and perhaps themselves too. For a heartbeat, time hung suspended in the violent aftermath of his proclamation. As the shadows began to swirl violently, a chilling laugh echoed, vibrating through their bones. What can you do without your secrets, dear Sam? Can you bear to face the truth you left behind? In that instant, fear spiraled in his chest, coiling tightly. What truth? What awaited them if they dared to step further into the light? The darkness loomed, but it seemed ready to reveal more than it took. Who would have the courage to uncover the horror lurking within their own past? The light pulsed, harsh and bright, cutting through the shadows like a knife, but it didn't chase away the chill that wrapped around them. Sam's heart raced as he faced the old woman, her expression shifting from triumph to fury. What truth? He demanded, desperation and defiance mingling in his tone. The weight of fear nagged at him, a knot tightening in his gut. What had he awoken? The old woman chuckled darkly, the sound drenching the air with a palpable dread. Your past is not yours alone, dear boy. What you buried, what they buried, it binds you all. She gestured toward Jenna and Jake, her fingers trembling with an eerie excitement. What lies within them? What will they reveal when challenged? In that moment, Jenna stepped forward, her eyes wide, yet resolute. I don't want my past defined by whatever darkness you're drumming up. We are more than our mistakes. Her voice shook, but her stance was firm. Is that so? The old woman cooed, a smirk twisting her lips. Then face what you fear. What have you hidden, my dear? The shadows coiled tighter around them as Jenna's breath hitched, her gaze darting away from the old woman, as if trying to escape the gravity of the challenge. Sam could see the fight within her wavering, like a candle flickering in a storm. Jake, his voice low and tremulous, piped up. None of us want to play this twisted game. We are more than our failures. More than whatever darkness you feed off. The dimness pooled around him, swallowing the last echoes of his anger. But the old woman only smiled wider. You don't get to choose, my sweet. The darkness comes to eat, and tonight, it craves the taste of truth. With that, a rush of wind whipped through the room, snuffing out the sudden surge of light and plunging them back into the oppressive dark. Sam could hear their breaths mingling fast, frantic. The air thickened, making it feel like a weight pressing down on their shoulders. "Let it come," Sam suddenly said, his voice a bare whisper. "Let us face what we have left behind." "No!" Jenna cried, clearly torn. Sam could see the tumult within her, the urge to back away clashing with a burning desire for liberation. "You think that you can confront it? You think the truth is the answer?" The old woman gaily challenged, her tone dripping with mockery. "You'll lose yourself trying to fight what you've buried so deep." And then, just like that, images began swirling once more in the abyss around them. Sam felt his knees buckle as scenes from long ago spiraled into view. The betrayal of a childhood friend, the words left unspoken, regret seeping through his mind like poison. "Face it!" He screamed against the chaos, fighting to cling to his own will. In tandem, Jenna and Jake wrestled with their own specters, faces twisting in agony as secrets clawed their way back to life. Sam felt their pain mingle with his, spinning into a tempest from which they might not emerge unscathed. "Look deep," the old woman sang, her voice a haunting melody that echoed in the void. "What will you find there? Is it worth the price you must pay?" For a moment, Sam's mind cleared. It wasn't just about confronting those secrets, it was about freeing themselves from the bonds they had forged in silence. Every breath burned as he faced his companions. "Together? We stand together." With those words, a surge of strength ignited between them, binding their resolve. Yet, the shadows shrieked back, roaring with hunger, swirling tighter and tighter, ready to consume any hint of defiance. "Together?" the old woman taunted, eyes glimmering with malice. "You think that love can shield you from what you fear?" The room trembled with tension as visions danced around them, possibilities of pain and betrayal, glimpses of freedom tainted by darkness. Sam gritted his teeth. He could feel the fracture point nearing, the moment where everything would change. What truth would they uncover? What sacrifices would they have to make to liberate themselves? As the shadows tightened their grip and a scream threatened to fracture the air, a question lingered in Sam's mind: could they truly conquer the burdens of their past, or would the darkness consume them first? The shadows writhed and twisted, alive with a dissonant energy that seemed to whisper secrets meant only for Sam, Jenna, and Jake. An icy breeze swept through the room, teasing their skin and filling their lungs with the taste of impending doom. Jenna shivered beside Sam, her voice barely audible over the howling darkness. I can't do this." Panic laced her words, propelling her thoughts into a frenzy. "What if it takes us? What if we don't come back?" "It won't," Sam insisted, trying to inject courage into her trembling frame. He could feel fear clawing at his chest too, but he forced it down. They had come too far to turn back now. "We have to face it. We owe it to ourselves." In that instant, another wave of memories slammed into them, each one more vivid and blinding than the last. Sam saw echoes of his past, the slights and the grief that scarred him. Faces of friends lost, harsh words spoken in anger. They loomed like giants, demanding attention, calling forth the darkness that held their real truths captive. The old woman's laughter sliced through the haze, steady and mocking. "Do you hear them? They know your sins. They know what you've hidden. And they're hungry." Suddenly, Jake screamed, a raw sound that fractured the air. "Get out! Get away from me!" He crumpled to the floor, clutching his head as if trying to keep his sanity from escaping through the widening cracks. Visions were assaulting him, moments of weakness and despair, family ties severed by lies now clawing their way back to the surface. "Jake!" Sam lunged forward, but the shadows surged, crashing around him like a tidal wave, crystal walls of despair tethering around each one of them. "Focus!" Sam shouted over the pandemonium, willing himself to centralize his thoughts. We face this together. That was the tether he held on to. A feral howl cut through the darkness, rattling Sam's resolve. It was the sound of nightmares, echoes of their past woven into the very fabric of the air. The shadows twisted and turned with a sinister dance, tightening its icy grip on Jenna and Jake, stealing their breath. Your bond will shatter. The old woman screeched, eyes now glinting with an unholy light. Each of you is bound in your own chains. You must choose, face the truth or be lost forever. Sam felt the weight of her words sink deep into the pit of his stomach. Choose. It was never that simple. Each choice came with a cost, a sacrifice that could render them hollow. What do we do? He yelled to the others as the darkness pressed down like a vice. Jenna's voice trembled, rising from the depths of her fear. We find the light. We have to. The shadows writhed in protest, causing Sam to stumble back. But how? How do we find what we've buried so deep? It's not just about the past. Jenna shouted back, her eyes shimmering with determination. It's about who we choose to be now. We fight, together. The energy in the room shifted, anger morphing into fiery hope. Sam felt the tremors in his companions, the burgeoning fight rising within them. They focused on each other, their shared bonds growing stronger despite the darkness that threatened to tear them apart. Together. We can break through. Sam echoed, their voices harmonizing in a defiant chorus against the void. As they stood firm, an explosion of light erupted from the center of their circle. It pushed back against the shadows, creating a dazzling rift, a beacon amid the chaos. But as they braced themselves, something else crept into view, figures emerging from the depths of the dark, faces they recognized but had hoped to forget. Are you ready for the truth? The old woman's voice sliced through the radiance. Faces you thought you lost, desires long buried, will you face them? Gritting his teeth, Sam took a step forward, fueled by the collective strength of his friends. This was the moment of truth, a moment that would change everything, but just as uncertainty clawed its way back, the light flickered. Their eyes met, a fleeting understanding shared among them, brimming with hope but anchored by fear. What awaited on the other side? And could they really stand together in the face of what they had hidden? The light pulsed like a heartbeat, sending warm waves of energy swirling around them. But the faces that emerged from the shadows were cold and familiar, enforcing the weight of past failures upon them. Sam's heart quickened. No, not them. Memories ignited, his childhood best friend, Lily, atop a carousel, her laughter swallowed by a tragedy he couldn't save her from. The joy faded, leaving behind the ache of guilt that he had buried deep. Jenna recoiled, her breath hitching as her sister's face flickered into reality. Is that? She whispered, a sound barely audible yet filled with horror. The truth washed over her, fear coating every syllable. Jenna felt a deep howl of loss, convinced she had left that pain behind. Jake's face turned slack with dread as dark figures raked through his mind. His father, shame glued to their conversations, words weaponized against him. No, he mumbled, his will fraying. I can't, this isn't real. The more he fought, the more the specters snarled at him, pulling tighter at his memories. Stay strong. Sam shouted, reaching for his friends. We're not alone. He sought the bond they had formed throughout their journey, its warmth fighting back against the chill of despair. The old woman's laughter echoed, slicing through their desperate camaraderie. You think mere friendship can save you? These shadows are your truth. Each remains a ghost you cannot outrun. You are nothing without facing them. Jenna steeled herself, her heart fluttering with determination. We've survived everything life has thrown at us. We won't let it fracture us now. Her voice emerged stronger, breaking through the silence as the shadows howled in defiance. Sam nodded, channeling Jenna's strength. We have the power to rewrite our story, starting now. He clasped her hand, creating a shimmer of light between them, the bond a tether of warmth amid their chilling fears. Suddenly, the air crackled. The shadows recoiled, flailing as the radiant power settled around Sam, Jenna, and Jake. Together, they shouted their truths, the sins that had haunted their hearts. "I am not to blame," Sam shouted, eyes fixed on his lost friend. "I could not save you, but I carry you forward." Jenna followed, her voice escalating. "I mourn, but I choose to cherish her memory, not live in it." Jake's scream rose to meet theirs, raw, primal. "No longer will I carry this shame. I choose to be more than my past." With every confession, the shadows shrank back, trembling at the combined force of their truths. The light blazed brighter, illuminating memories with the softness of acceptance, repelling the dark with every word. Sam's heart swelled. Could it truly work? But even as the shadows receded, a crack split through the ground, churning with unease. The old woman's expression darkened, fury dancing through the remnants of the shadow realm. "You think you can escape? The darkness knows your blood, it knows your fears." The light flickered dangerously and Sam felt the ground tremble beneath them. "Stay together," he yelled, gripping Jenna and Jake's hands tightly, grounding them against the chaos. Just then, a haunting visage emerged, a memory they hadn't prepared for. Lily, Jenna's sister, and Jake's father blended into a single silhouette, drawing closer as darkness receded, their eyes burning with accusation. "Will you forsake us again?" it growled. Sam's heart raced, uncertainty gripping him anew. Did their choice truly strengthen them, or was it merely a facade? "What's next?" he gasped, fear creeping back in like a lifeline tightening around his throat. As reality began to warp, and shadows clawed at their feet, they faced the terrifying truth: this was only the beginning. What awaited them beyond the veil of light? Would it strengthen their bond or shatter it into pieces? The answer loomed large, and the chilling specter of doubt stirred within. "Face us if you dare." The shadowy figure beckoned, grinning with malicious glee. Could they withstand the test, or would the shadows consume them whole? The world twisted, the brightness of their light fighting against the encroaching shadows. Sam felt it then, a sharp, vicious tug deep within him. "What do you want from us?" he shouted, a desperate echo against the distorted landscape. The figure loomed larger, its voice a venomous hiss. "To understand, to remember. Every flaw, every failure, every moment you chose to run." The air crackled hotter with each word, igniting memories so painful he could almost feel the wounds reopen. Jenna squeezed Sam's hand. "We're not afraid of you." Despite the conviction in her voice, her knees wobbled as the figure shifted closer, almost merging with the shadows that chased them. Jake faltered as his father's face morphed into that disapproving glare he had known all too well. "You think you can change? Look at you, all you do is disappoint." Each syllable dripped with power, pulling him toward despair. "No!" Jake shouted, shaking his head as if that could dislodge the truth. "I want to let you take me back there." The chains binding his past had felt so heavy, and here it was, clawing its way to the surface, threatening to drag him down into the very guilt he had fought so hard to escape. The shadows danced, cackling with enjoyment. He thinks he can escape, but the heart does not forget. It remembers every moment of shame. Just as the weight of the world crashed down on them, Sam surged forward, determined to shield Jenna and Jake from the whispers of doubt. "We're more than our past. We've grown together." His voice thundered, with a light igniting fiercely within him, pushing against the dark wind whipping around. The ground trembled beneath them, fragments of their fears sparkling around like shattered glass. Sam felt his legs nearly give way, but he fought to stay upright. This challenge was not merely an external battle, it was one of spirit, of heart. He mustered every ounce of bravery, remembering their journey, how they had pushed through after loss and grief. "Every tear I shed is a step forward," Sam shouted, pouring his desperation into his words. "I choose to honor those I've lost, not live in the echoes of my failures." Jenna's voice joined his, rising above the storm. "I have my sister in my heart, she is a part of me. I want to let her slip away into darkness." The shadows recoiled slightly, their laughter faltering under the new light. Jake watched, wrestling with the darkness clinging to him like a shroud. "Dad, you don't define who I am. I'm more than the mistakes you left behind." His shout tore through the memory like a beacon, scattering shadowy tendrils twisting toward him. With their united front, the light swelled, pushing back the darkness. The whispered accusations began to fade, their power lessening with each affirmation. But in that moment of triumph, the smile on the shadowed figure twisted, revealing something far more sinister, a truth that chilled every fiber of Sam's being. "Foolish children," it sneered, voice like ice. "You may banish us today, but the shadows have no end." The air around him thickened, swirling with a suffocating energy, nearly overwhelming. Sam fought harder, desperate to maintain the connection with his friends, but he could see the strain etching deep lines into their faces. Each cryptic word burrowed deeper, planting seeds of anxiety. "What do we have to do?" he pleaded, their bond wavering as chaos enveloped them again. An abyss yawned before them, echoing with laughter, a sound that danced in dark corners of their minds. The figure leaned in, close enough to feel the cold radiate outward. "Face your greatest fears, or this may just be the beginning of your downfall. Choose wisely." Panic erupted in Sam's chest. What lay ahead? Shadows on the brink of their souls? The reminder that they hadn't yet faced every specter lurking in their minds? In that moment of uncertainty, light flickered again, and they stood solid, but the burden was heavier than ever. The specters had whispered truths that threatened to choke them. Could they really confront what lay ahead? Then, another battle cry reverberated from the shadows, a challenge echoing in the depths. "Can you survive what you've hidden for so long?" As their world began to fracture once more, Sam could barely breathe, eyes wide with realization. How much further could they go before it all fell apart? Would courage be enough, or would they be forever lost in darkness? The echoes rose and fell. Time froze as the looming question pierced through the air. How far would they go to face the shadows within? A chill swept through Sam, pulling him back to the very moment he thought they had gained ground. The shadows hissed, swirling in on themselves, shimmering with a dark promise. Jake staggered, grasping his head as if to ward off the impending dread, while Jenna's grip on Sam tightened, her knuckles turning white. "Look!" Jenna cried out, her voice strained against the thick, oppressive air. "The ground, it's pulsing." Sam glanced down and saw the earth shift, a rhythmic throb as if it was alive, breathing hungry. Waves of darkness slithered up from beneath, glittering strands of fear and self-doubt weaving themselves into the fabric of their surroundings. "Stay together!" Sam yelled, rallying the last remnants of their light. "We can't let this thing tear us apart." But the figure laughed, its sound echoing like a death knell against the walls of their minds. "Together? Oh, how naive. You believe unity can shield you? Look at your heart's secrets fester there. Can you face what you've buried so deep?" With those words, tendrils shot out, grasping at them, whispering their darkest memories, clawing their way into the recesses of their minds. Sam felt his own secrets surfacing, regrets of promises broken, pain left unresolved. They clawed at his consciousness, each memory sharp and jagged. Jake's breath hitched as a cacophony of voices surrounded them, each a reminder of his past failures creeping closer. "You will never escape what you are." They echoed through him, tearing at his resolve. The vision of his father glared back, disappointment etched in his features. Grimacing, Jake shouted, "No. I won't be that kid anymore." He squeezed his eyes shut, willing himself to forget the blame, but as he did, the shadows morphed into figures of his past, every friend lost, every failure magnified like a haunting reel. The pain pulled at his shoulders, heavy as 100 dead weights. "Face it, Jake." The shadow taunted. "You're just a disappointment." "Stop." Jenna cried, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't let her past consume them. "You don't control us." She reached deep within herself, summoning the memory of her sister's laughter, drawing strength from the bond they had shared. You will not take her from me. As if in response, the figure recoiled momentarily, but then laughed cruelly. You think clinging to those memories can save you? They're just shadows themselves, faded echoes of what was lost. The ground beneath them quaked violently. Sam stumbled, nearly losing his footing. Hold on. He shouted again, feeling the connection with Jenna and Jake falter as the shadows pressed in, squeezing tighter around their resolve. We have to channel our pain. We can't show weakness. We're stronger together. Jenna pushed back, and for a moment, their bright aura flared again, flickering defiantly against the encroaching shadow. The air shifted, light battling dark, but it was clear they were still losing ground. Sam shot a glance at Jake, desperation flooding through him. What are you most afraid of? Jake's eyes widened. Dying without being free of this, of him. Suddenly, with a fierce determination, Jenna turned to the shadow. You can't scare us anymore. We are more than what you twist us to be. We are our choices. The shadows howled in fury. Very well, brave souls, it huffed, energy swirling violently. Face your fears, together. But know this, pieces of you may be lost forever. Sam's heart raced. As they braced for the next onslaught, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of both freedom and ruin. What sacrifices awaited them? Would the light be enough to banish the shadows, or would they find themselves irreversibly trapped in their own darkness? The stage was set, but Sam understood they hadn't faced their greatest fear yet. Would they rise or fall into the abyss? The answer loomed ominously before them, closer than ever, and he wondered whether the light could guide them through the looming storm. As the shadows shifted again, a new voice broke through the chaos, a whisper, soft yet piercing. Are you willing to embrace what you fear most? The question echoed in the dark, leaving them at a precipice. What lay waiting in the unknown? Would they descend or be drawn into something greater? The shadows intensified, almost swirling with a sentient will of their own, pushing against the three friends like a tidal wave. Sam felt the pressure building, and amid the chaos, the old woman's cold laughter echoed menacingly, as if she thrived on their fear. Face what you fear most, she taunted, slinking closer, her eyes gleaming with malicious glee. Embrace your nightmares. They are a part of you. Sam swallowed, heart pounding wildly in his chest. His mind buzzed. No more running. He locked eyes with Jenna and Jake. We need to face this together. Every ounce of his strength held on to that thread of hope. As if sensing their resolve, the shadows thrashed violently, shrouded figures emerging from the depths of the inky black. A blurring fog coalesced into haunting shapes, ghosts drenched in their hidden memories. Sam felt his stomach drop. One silhouette, more vivid than the rest, came into focus. Lily, his breath caught, tears blurring his vision. The face of his long-lost friend appeared, distorted but achingly familiar, her eyes filled with an understanding that throbbed with regret. I'm sorry, he whispered, hands trembling. I tried to save you. I didn't mean for it to happen. The darkness swirled around them, pulsating, as if it fed off his guilt. A chilling response echoed, your guilt will be your undoing. It was Lily's voice, darkened by the shadows. You think you can move forward by forgetting what happened to me? A surge of despair swept over him, but Sam caught a glimpse of Jenna, intensifying her grip on his arm, determination flickering across her face. It spurred him on. She wouldn't let the darkness consume her, and neither would he. No. Jenna stepped forward. You are not just an echo. We remember you, we mourn you, but we won't drown in the past. With each statement, the shadows twisted as if in agony, a violent pull that made his stomach churn. Jake emerged from the haze, his father's face looming behind him, barked full of disdain. You'll never escape what you are. Yet something shifted within Jake. Fear warped into defiance. I am not you. He bellowed, shaking off the chains of self-doubt. I won't be that kid anymore. Sam watched as their energies shifted, a warm glow enveloping them, solidifying their bond against the onslaught. "We will face our truths together," Sam called out, his own voice steadying, grounding them. "For every loss, every regret, we will rise." The shadows writhed, recoiling against the vibrant light unfurling between them. Each heartfelt confession acted as a beacon, a protective light against the darkness clawing at the edges of their resolve. They held onto one another tightly, experiencing the intoxicating rush of unity. With newfound courage, they stepped into the void, allowing light to flood through their collective fears. Sam's guilt, mixed with determination, acted as fuel. "Lily, I'm sorry our story ended the way it did. But I vow to live for both of us. I won't waste another moment in fear." As the air buzzed with charged energy, Jenna shouted, "I choose to cherish the good memories, not to let the pain weigh me down." They felt the power surge as tears flooded her eyes, but this time, they were weighted with strength. Jake's voice joined theirs, echoing with newfound conviction. "I won't let shame anchor me. I can live proudly, in your name." The air shimmered with each declaration, the shadows convulsing, losing their grip. Suddenly, from the tapestry of darkness emerged a new form, an ethereal glow of light bursting forth, consuming the shadows around it and the specters caught within. "Together!" Sam shouted, arm outstretched to pull Jenna and Jake closer. "Together, we reshape our destinies." The world quaked as their unleashed truths illuminated the void, dissolving the shadows that threatened to engulf them. The figures morphed, no longer menacing, but rather transformed into memories wrapped in soft light, the burdens easing, unraveling like threads in a tapestry. Amid the glow, Sam realized it was not just battling their ghosts, it was affirming their growth as resilient human beings. The shadows shot out one last desperate shriek before surrendering to the light, fading into the ether. Finally, the room fell still, the frenetic energy settling into a warm glow. Sam blinked, panting as the weight of despair lifted, the once overbearing shadows evaporating into light. Breathing deep, Sam turned to his friends. He noticed a sense of relief wash over Jenna and Jake, their faces illuminated not just by the ambient glow surrounding them but by a newfound freedom. They stood together, hearts still racing but at peace. "We did it!" Jenna gasped, tears of relief streaking down her cheeks. "We faced them." "Yeah, together," Jake added, wrapping an arm around Jenna and giving Sam a solid nod. Their bond felt deeper, cemented by shared struggles and triumph. They had not only conquered their fears but had grown immeasurably in the process. As dawn broke in the outside world, light streamed through the windows, casting a warm golden hue across the room. The old woman, once a harbinger of terror, now appeared less imposing, her features softened by light. "You've done well," she murmured, voice now lilting, "the darkness is always waiting but so is your courage." With that, Sam exchanged quiet smiles with Jenna and Jake. They knew the journey wasn't done. There would always be shadows lurking nearby, but they had learned to wield their light courageously. This was their moment and every moment after would belong to them and their choices. As the sun rose higher, they stepped outside the house, the weight of the dark night behind them. All that remained were echoes of laughter, intertwined with the memories they had finally released. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss a single moment of the magic coming your way. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm and keep us going. And be sure to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this mind-bending conclusion. Your voice matters here. Finally, don't wait even one more second to share this epic video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this journey with us. Let us keep this community thriving.